Happy birthday, Jesus. I hope you like crap.
But like, there's only so many jobs you can apply for. And like, I got to a certain point where I sat there and was like, I know if I apply for this job, I'm going to get it. And there's no way in hell I want to work for like the post office. Like, it's those kind of things. Well, why don't you go? Like, you've done mail work, Rory. Why don't you go work for the post office? I'm like, gee, did anyone not see that thing where Donald Trump pulled billions of dollars out of the post office funds last year? Does it seem like a fun place to work at the beginning of the new year? Did they push any of that money back into the programs? They didn't. Well, gee, doesn't it seem like a great time to start at the bottom of that government organization then right now?
See, now that's where you're wrong. That's the ultimate challenge. I 100% think you should work for the post office.
I'll go. You ever heard of going postal?
That's exactly why.
It'll turn me into a video game one day. I look at it, I'm just like, my God, what am I? I'll go and sort mail all day at like heavy amounts. Like, I remember the worst part of when I used to work in Boston was the day where they'd be like, well, mail came in because it'd come in at like 10:30 every day, and one of us would go down and check. And sometimes it'd be like, oh, there's only 2 bins of mail. You know those corporate bins, like they're like kind of like that wax kind of looking big crates, and you'd get like 2 of those full of mail, and that's like a lot when you think about it. Like for a normal person, if you got 2 crates of mail at your house, you'd be like, oh my God, who did I get death threats from, or what Posters Clearinghouse accidentally got funneled through my address? But when you get 2 crates of mail at like a biz, you're like, okay, it's not so bad. But then days would come and you'd be like, how many we get today? They'd be like, 24. We got 24 crates of mail. I'd be like, this is the worst fucking part of my day. Because you'd sit there like 10:30, from 10:30 to noon, like after you delivered that mail, like there's not a hell of a lot going on. You're just kind of chilling out, waiting to see if there's any emergency, or waiting until lunch. Like maybe you have to go set up a boardroom to do their lunch. That's not bad, because afterwards, oh boy, there's scraps for the little boys on the bottom.
No, you can take a little handful of spanakopita and go eat it at your desk.
None of the executives stuck their hands in this potato salad? I think I'm feeling a little frisky today for some potato salad. And you shuffle that shit down the freight elevator, and you and the elevator workers all eat like rat kings.
Wait. Elevator workers?
Oh, yeah. At these big buildings, dude, there's elevator workers on the freights. Not like the standard elevator, like the one the normals get on, the normies as we call them, but like for the people delivering freight. I've got a pallet of babies' diapers to deliver to the 37th floor. I don't know why they're delivering babies' diapers, but they say they do. It goes into the freight elevator, and there's usually a gentleman who's sitting there in a chair who you tell what floor you want to go to. But they're the people who operate the freight because it's like a union position now. Like it's a thing that you like need for buildings because of regulation, because it's dangerous to use the freight elevator.
Okay, I guess my question is, why are we putting healthy people in that position, and why aren't we like letting dialysis patients
Healthy
also?
people? I knew a guy, what was his name? He was absolutely insane. I wish I remember his name. It's going to come to me like sometime in the middle of the episode. Like, Joni! You just scream it out. But he was from Haiti, and nobody knew if the stories that he told were truthful or not. But all we did know verifiably was that he was very, very wealthy. He just did this because he was nuts. But like he came over from Haiti in like the 70s and bought up a shit ton of property. Like that's what he did for a couple of years while he was there. So he owns hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars worth of property in the greater Boston area. And he also works as an elevator operator in One Financial Boston downtown, just because. But he told me the story of like how he fled Haiti by dressing up as a woman and shooting at the police. Really crazy. Like again, stories that like you don't believe until you talk to him for a little while. And you're going, I think this dude shot at the police in Haiti. Like I really think he might have.
I have an easier time buying that than that guy's rich.
I believe them both. It's really weird. People would see him like outside of like the office in like a neighborhood, and like they'd ask people, like, who is that? Like, oh yeah, it's the guy who owns my building. Like, what the fuck? What? Are you serious? Because you'd smell him, and I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but you would smell him, and you would go, this guy has not showered in a month. And you'd ask him, like, when was the last time you showered? He'd be like, I don't know. Like, you would get onto that elevator in the middle of the summer, and it was the worst fucking thing ever. Because this is a freight elevator. It's all metal. It's a metal box that is unair conditioned in the middle of the Boston heat and humidity. You get on that thing, you'd be like, well, It's luckily I worked in the mailroom, so it's all the high end equipment that's all super hot. So they just pump air conditioning in there. So you walk in there like, oh God, it's 90 degrees outside, but it's 50 degrees in here. That's weird. Wear my coat all day. And you would walk into that elevator and be like, well, it's 100 degrees in here in this metal box.
Oh, I feel like I've walked into a crematorium. Who's burning the bodies?
And it was, oh God, when it was him, you'd just be like, I'll just get the next one. Because there would be two. You know, you could get on the one or you could get on the other. God forbid you have to go on the big freight because that'd be the one that he'd be running. And you'd just be like, oh, no.
Hot take. That guy's a fucking asshole for taking that job.
Yes.
He should. If he's that independently wealthy, he should just.
We used to give him shit for it.
Yeah.
We used to give him a ton of shit. Like, dude, you gotta take a shower. You gotta do something. Like my boss, Matt, would go up to him and just be like, you gotta.
Well, yeah, I think it's twofold. I think smelling that bad in the little metal box, but also taking that job from someone who legitimately could have used it.
Oh, sure.
Because he was fucking bored.
Are you kidding, though? That's all American business is. That's all big cities are people with millions of dollars working jobs that pay them hundreds of thousands of dollars a year that they don't need anymore. Who needs, let's start from the top of the scale and come down. Who needs a fucking $1 billion? Really?
Right.
Who needs $1 billion? Who needs $100 million? Okay. Who actually needs $10 million? Really? Nobody. At a certain point, you know, you can sit there and argue that a couple of $1 million, if used properly, can be, you know, a life's worth of money. You know what I mean? You give me $6 million right now, I'm done working. There's people who you'd offer, you know, $6 million to right now, and they would keep working. They'd be like, well, that's going to be a great retirement because they want to build on that. I'm sitting here looking at, you know, in my early 30s going, $6 million, I would never work again. But some people are like that. But you look at corporate America, you know, my CEO, my old boss, is sitting there making, you know, $30-40 million a year. I would take 1 year of that and be done. Like, that's just, and I get it. You offer me and go, well, if you work another year, you get double that money. It's pretty hard to say no to.
But I understand there's something to be said for like, well, God bless him, he made his money, but he's still working the same job at the front desk at fucking Panera Bread Company corporate. Like, there's something to be said for God bless him, he's still, you know, working the position of the little guy.
Sure.
But at the same time, I think I would respect him more if he spent his days just like paying for hookers' time and pitting them against each other in death matches. Yeah, he just snaps a pool cue in half and is like, all right, ladies, who wants to go home to their 6 children tonight?
A little hooker kumite?
Yeah, hooker kumite.
Just out in Kowloon.
2 sluts enter, 1 slut leaves, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's a weird thing to think about. I think about it a lot because you've got these billionaires out there. You got people like Mark Cuban, who, you know, he's just out there being like, I'm looking for the next thing to invest into. And don't get me wrong, if I had billions of dollars, I would probably take that money and be like, you get a business, you get a business. And I'd probably do the same thing similarly. But you know, someone like Mark Cuban is doing it not out of the kindness of his heart. He's doing it because if I give this guy $10 million in 3 years, it'll be $50 million. Like, that's all it comes down to. It's a weird mentality. And you always have those weird examples of like that guy who's like, this guy pushed a broom in the MBTA, you know, down at South Station for 30 years. And when he retired, it found out he had $2.4 million. And like, just because he pushed his broom and never did anything, went home and put it into a high yield mutual fund. And now he's donated all that money to charity. And you're like, wow, fuck, man. Like, that's crazy. But then there's always that story of that guy who's like, he was a hedge fund manager and kicked puppies on the weekends and went down to the local orphanage and, you know.
He would slit the puppy's throat in front of them just to prove to them that life ain't fair and the world is mean.
He'd pull up with a limo full of teddy bears and lock the doors when the kids tried to get inside. Like, just like real
He would bring his good friend Jeffrey Epstein down and
chase the kids for fun. Him and Jared from Subway, and then off they go.
It was an all-you-could-eat buffet.
I don't get it. I really don't get it. You know, I get at a certain point where you sit there and somebody looks at you and go, look, man, you have $200 million. You can start to change policy in states with that kind of money. And maybe that gets to some people. And obviously it does get to some people. But I get so weirded out. Like, I always ask myself that question. If somebody were to hand me $1 billion, would my first instinct be, how can I turn this $1 billion into $2 billion? Or would my first instinct be, I'm set for the rest of my life? You know, like, how long would it take for my mentality to change from, you know, I can do what I want and I can help the people that I care about to be financially independent, to how do I make this into more money? Because clearly it happens. There's more billionaires out there than not who are sitting there going, I'm trying to make this into more. then though you get every now and then those rare people who are like, I'm going to divest all of my money and blah, 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 blah. Like even if people look at like Bill Gates, like, you're a great fucking dude now, but why'd you crush all those companies if you're such a great fucking dude? Like, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is the best thing in the world. Do you know how many people committed suicide because of the things that Bill Gates and Microsoft did? There's some guy out there who's like, I put every dollar into creating Crestcom, this new innovative, and Bill Gates comes out of the woodwork and goes, yeah, I actually need your proprietary technology for this thing in Microsoft 3.5. And they go, well, Bill, I think if we partnership, that can be no, I'm just going to buy you out. And then he offers that guy a bunch of money, and it's great for that one guy. And then the rest of his company gets dissolved, and 50 people lose their fucking jobs. And he sits there and laughs on his pile of money, the evil fucking bastard that he is.
Yeah. And now he's going to launch dust into the sun to get rid of global warming.
Is that what he's doing?
Yeah.
Well, at first he was talking about how he patented designs on these machines that would go out into the oceans, and they were basically tidal mixture machines there were these giant paddles, and they float on the water, and their whole purpose is to mix the top layer of water with the cooler water down below, and to kind of churn the water in the ocean, and to effectively what it does is it stops hurricanes. And everyone's like, wow, Bill, this is some pretty amazing stuff. Until people came out of the woodwork like, yeah, you know how many fish this would kill in that area? Let me hint, all of them. It would kill all of them, Bill. Yeah, but no more. Florida real estate. I don't know why Bill Gates sounds like a fucking nerd from '83.
I think you're getting that from Family Guy, because wasn't it like him and Michael Eisner?
They are ants, Michael.
Yeah.
Mike Eisner. Yeah. I'm getting really sick of the billionaire worship that we see these days. Everyone wants to suck Elon Musk's dick these days, and I'm like, dude, he's laughing all the way to the bank while you fucking idiots put billions of dollars into his pockets. Yeah. Like the fact that he is trading places with Jeff Bezos for richest man on the planet, like they're just switch, which one's gonna be on top, freaks me the fuck out.
And he's just a prick with no class consciousness.
He also has no business. He has no business being there. He's being propped up by memers online. Like, again, dude, I praise the GameStop and the Wall Street Bets crew, but the unintended consequence of that kind of stuff is taking someone with a business model like Elon Musk. Don't get me wrong. The space stuff he's doing, like the internet link, whatever it's called, Skylink, or
I don't remember.
Whatever, that's going to be great for humanity. That's going to bring powerful, usable internet to everybody if he does it right. Starlink. That's going to be great. But that is, again, he's doing that for money. He's not doing that because he wants to bring internet to people in Africa. He's doing that because it's going to make him billions and billions of dollars. Tesla is a company that's valued more than GM that doesn't put out a tenth of the cars that GM does. They don't have the same technologies because, again, it's a green company. Everyone goes, "Ooh, this is amazing." But you look at some of the other things in green technology that are making the kind of money that Elon Musk is making, go, why is that not why is this company not worth billions of dollars? Why is this company that puts out 500,000 cars a year making Elon Musk the richest person on the planet? And then everyone also wants to say, but the markets make sense. Stock market is based on real strong blah. No, it's not. It's just not anymore.
Well, that, and he was really smart to cultivate the cult of personality that he did.
Brilliant.
Because, smoking the blunt on Rogan got him fans for life. For literally just smoking a blunt.
Yeah.
Smoking a spliff, I guess.
For something you and me do every day.
Yeah, with regularity.
Just hanging out with Sloan Kettering, Jack Kerouac.
And we were blazing that shit up every day. Yeah, but it's funny to me. And I have turned on Joe Rogan. I used to get a lot out of that podcast.
He did the same thing, but with the alt-right crew.
He would have on a neuroscientist who would talk about what chemical process happens when you die. Mm-hmm. And he would give you this very articulate...
Is it like DMT?
Yeah, it's kind of the spirit. The spirit molecule. They say that DMT, it mimics that same chemical that's released as you die, man. It's like...
And then Joe Rogan looks at him and goes, but if you tried DMT... The guy's like, what are we talking about, Joe? What is your problem?
We're talking about human rights in the Congo, and you somehow made this about DMT.
It's the one time they're actually talking about DMT that Joe can't switch it off. He's like, but have you ever tried DMT? And the guy's like, what am I doing
Where
here?
have you been?
Are you having a stroke?
And he is. Turns out he is. He's just been having one. That's why he's in that shitty new Red studio.
I'm Joe Rogan here on Rogan Joe. I've got with me Rogan. Hi, Joe. Are you okay?
Rogan.
Joe Rogan.
What if he had a stroke and thought he was Seth Rogen?
Nice. Yeah, no,
welcome to the Seth Rogen experience.
It's really weird because for me, like, I remember back when I was working before I had moved to New York City, I listened to Joe Rogan at work because I was doing like a data entry kind of position, doing claims adjustment. And that's just a lot of like taking info from here, scraping it into this informational data bank, and then moving it from here to blah, 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 until you publish it, blah, blah. It's like this really boring kind of, I didn't have to pay a lot of attention. So I listened to a lot of like Pandora before I had Spotify and listened to a lot of Joe Rogan when you have those conversations. And this is before episode 1000, you know, this is kind of back in the day where everyone was like, I don't know if he should be giving a platform to Jordan Peterson. And then everyone else on the other side was like, well, they're just having a conversation, so deal with it, before they realized like Joe Rogan being kind of brilliant in what he did. Don't get me wrong, I don't like the model, but it was really smart what he did. When there's people out there being like, we're not giving a platform to Alex Jones, he was like, I'm going to give a platform to Alex Jones. And they have a 4-hour conversation. And now the people who were listening to Alex Jones are now listening to Joe Rogan. And then you get someone like Jordan Peterson on. And now some of the people who are listening to Jordan Peterson are now listening to Joe Rogan. And he sort of slowly pulls listenership from all these other places by sort of being the nexus point from which anyone can come on and discuss anything. And to that, there's something really interesting in what Joe Rogan did. Having said that, he's also created a dangerous platform for ideologues to come on and speak horse shit to their base and thereby perpetuate that horseshit onto fence sitters who might be listening to Joe Rogan for other reasons.
But it's been especially bad during the pandemic. He'll be like, comedian Ron Funches is here. What do you think about these new lockdown restrictions? If it was up to me, we'd all be fucking waiting in bread. Like,
yeah,
there's no, like, he'll have a neuroscientist on now and ask them what they think about freedom of speech. Yeah, and then he'll have a comedian on and ask them about what they would do if they were in charge of the World Health Organization. Yeah. Someone put it this way, Joe Rogan is Gwyneth Paltrow and Goop for men.
Oh, God.
For like these.
That's scathing criticism.
Yeah.
That's a huge criticism.
But it's true because he'll sit there and be like, Alpha Brain, you take this. I don't know why I made him sound like Bill Clinton. Haha, welcome to the Bill Clinton experience.
I'm Joe. He's also having a stroke.
I'm having on some chubby girls today. Ew. Okay, ladies, get ready. And he just puts a cake in the middle of the table. All right, ladies. Skip the forks. You're just going to hurt yourselves.
I mean, it makes you wonder, though, and it's one of those things where you look at someone like Joe Rogan who tries to play this character of being the everyman. You know, I'm just an average guy.
Come the fuck on.
Like, dude, you haven't been average for a decade now. And that's before you did the podcast. Before you did the podcast, you were one of those guys that studios decided was marketable. They tried to get you a sitcom. They tried to get you other work. They tried to put you in this. They tried to put you in that. And you failed. You failed. Again,
he's terribly unfunny.
Well, he tried to do from the Bill Engvall kind of thing. You know, they like, oh, you were in Blue Collar. Let's try to give you the Bill Engvall show. And they end up accidentally launching Jennifer Lawrence's career, you know. It was never the intended trajectory. But you look at him, and he's the same fucking thing. Somebody out there found him to be the right kind of homogenous brand for bros in that broy culture, and they tried to stuff him into shit. They gave him fucking specials and blah, blah, and eventually he found the niche that worked for him, speaking to incels online through his podcast. And I hate to brand that whole group of people, but it's like that kind of bro.
Yeah, but if the shoe fucking fits, right?
Well, dude, and if him and the Barstool crew had like somehow like linked networks early on, you would see him fitting like a shoe in that demographic of people.
And I'm honestly surprised. Neither of them really needs the other,
exactly,
but I am surprised there hasn't been a team up there.
But that's why. It's because I'm sure to a certain extent, neither of them likes what the other is doing. They probably both see each other as being their sort of version of the brand that's not quite right, you know? You can see from like the Portnoy area, like I see them being the kind of people who are still like, we still believe in the alpha bro pack mentality thing, even though science tells us that's bullshit. And then you've got Joe Rogan on the other side that's a little bit broy, but also like a little bit spiritual, you know what I mean?
But he believes in the alpha. He literally hawks a product called Alpha Brain, which is like a nootropic, which like there's no real science to those.
No, there's not. Again, it's the bro-y sort of goop. That is a pretty good apt comparison. It's that weird thing, and again, but it's like where you're getting more of the spiritual bro from Joe Rogan. You know what I'm saying? It's the sort of like open up in nature and like you don't want to put these poisons in your body, but also unless I say they are because they come from all natural supplements. It's the kind of thing that's like trying to get you towards being. But have you ever like gone out and hunted an elk and ate just elk for 6 months?
Oh, dude, it'll stimulate your pineal gland, and it's
that's
like
great. And then after
it just
that,
gives people a stroke.
You
instead.
go to Mexico and you get these stem cells shot into your dick. Can't everyone do that, bro? And like they have those kind of conversations, and you're like, how do you pretend to still be an average person while you're having these conversations? The place you live like is probably worth more than I've made in my entire life.
Have you seen his new house in Texas?
I'm sure it's gorgeous.
He lives on Lake Travis.
He looks like he probably lives in a fucking bunker now.
It honestly, it looks like a cartel, the head of a cartel where he would live. There's like agave plants growing on the walk on this like dimly lit path towards the front door.
It's just missing like a sort of ambiguously ethnic gentleman with an Uzi in his hand and a strap around his shoulder taking patrol. Turns out that's like number one DMT mule in the country, Joe Rogan. He's just been just living the cartel life and no one knew it. That's why he moved down there, turned his podcast studio into a bunker.
He's just insane. First you get the DMT.
Still Bill Clinton.
Then you get the power. Then you get the chubby chicks. Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
He's a little McConaughey too.
He's just a Mad Hatter. DMT
Draw that one
just
for the
Mercury.
Draw that one for the picture this week. It's just Bill Clinton, Joe Rogan, Matthew McConaughey, all as one thing. Kill me.
Just as an Akira, they've all fused together.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, you want to talk about something really fucking weird? It occurs to me. I just remembered Family Guy. Remember when they did an episode with Rush Limbaugh?
Yeah, and he's dead now.
I think about that and I'm like, okay, Seth MacFarlane can have whoever he wants on his show.
He gave Rush Limbaugh a platform for a while.
But
no one forget that.
When you really think about it, you're like, Seth MacFarlane had this guy on the show making the argument, well, we may have political differences, but at the end of the day, aren't we all patriots?
Yeah, we humanized Rush Limbaugh. You go, no.
Have you
listened to the shit that he talks about?
The guy who used to play clown music and count off the number of HIV deaths for the week.
Yes.
He would play like, it's raining men, and be like, oh, we had a bunch of fucking fags die in fucking Fresno.
Yeah. If you go back, before the PC woke culture really started to hit the waves and sort of, and I'm not trying to use a broad brush, but when they started policing speech, it's really what they did. Mm-hmm. You can go back and you can see like what was appropriate back in the day. Limbaugh was around a long fucking time. I'm pretty sure people could go back into the archives and find some pretty questionable shit that he talked about, but you're never going to see a comeuppance from people in the Republican spectrum because they're the people who listens and they would be the people to cancel him. You know what I mean?
Did you ever hear about what he said about the girl who argued for birth control, I believe at Georgetown?
There was something about murdering children, I'm sure.
Well, there was some like open forum or something, and she was talking about how it would be great if the university would pay for birth control. And what he got it out, it was like, okay, well, if the university is going to pay for your birth control, then anytime you get fucked, you should have to film it so we can watch.
Like, really? Really? That's the mentality?
That's what you got out of that debate, you fucking pig.
Like, does that mean that every time that like the government pays for a boner through Viagra pills that I need to be sent a picture of a cock? Because I'll waive that right. Like, I don't need to see Senator Johnson's Johnson.
Nobody needs to see Rush Limbaugh hopped up on Blue Chew.
Yeah. Be like, are you guys going to send me the picture of the highway I adopted with my funds? Like, does that work across all of that? Do I get to see the picture of the kid in Iraq who's 18, who like just went over there because he wanted to fund his college education, getting his head split open by an AK-47 round? Are they going to send me that photo? Yeah. Look what you funded. Just like that,
He kicked a soccer ball full of C4 palling around with the locals. Now he has no legs. He's just giving the thumbs up, and it's signed, thank you, Rory.
Yeah. Look, a welfare recipient brought his kid to Build-A-Bear, so here's a picture of the bear. Like, what do you fucking want? Are you kidding? Like, what kind of argument is that? Where does the buck stop?
Well, he was being an asshole.
Well, yeah, he was
being a fucking asshole.
He was arguing in bad faith. That's what it's half the argument these days. And you know what? I hate to say like it's mostly Republicans doing that, but it's mostly Republicans.
It's mostly Republicans.
There's a lot of bad faith coming from like neoliberal, sort of more moderate sort of places these days, but a lot of conservatives just argue in bad faith. And
but
they don't even know they're doing it.
The whole conservative ethos is like, if you can't pay for your shit, if you're sick, if you're mentally ill, if you've been dealt a bad hand, if you've been raped, you're on your own. and you can fucking die if you can't figure out your own life. That's their entire ethos.
But abortion is murder, too. Don't forget that.
Abortion is also murder. But their entire ethos is, well, get with the program or fucking die. We don't care.
Yeah.
Join us or fucking perish. Yeah. And then when these assholes like Antonin Scalia and Rush Limbaugh die, all the Republicans are suddenly super compassionate, and they all come out and they're like, now. Let's not dance on the grave of a man who had a family. It's like, again, I would like to point out to you that he would read off the totals of AIDS death in the country with Ethel Merman's disco album that she made, which is a real thing, by the way, playing in the background as he did it. He didn't give a fuck about these people. He was dancing on a mass grave. So I'm fucking sorry. I didn't throw a fucking parade. I know people, and I'm not judging them, but like, they would text me and be like, I'm going to go buy a bottle of Grey Goose and I'm going to pop bottles because Rush Limbaugh died. And I'm like, that's more effort than I care to put into Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah, but like, I'm not even thinking about the fact that he's dead. He's dead. He's gone. I won't be hearing from him anymore.
Great.
Yeah, that's it. It's like the most news I want to hear about is when they were like, the State House rejected the offer from conservatives to put the flag at half-mast in honor of Rush Limbaugh. And I'm like, fuck you. Like, are we doing that for everybody now? It's like the Diggum Smacks frog got retired today, and
it's a black day for America.
The White House will be putting the flag at half-mast to honor the Diggum Smacks frog.
A true patriot.
Like, what do you fucking...
And then you have a bunch of like female toads that come out and are like, he groped me inappropriately.
Huey and Lewis and the News broke up, and we've decided to put the flags down at the UN. Like, what do you fucking... We've built a statue right next to the Washington Monument because it's hip to be square, everybody. I just don't, the kind of mentality that comes out, it drives me nuts. I think the thing that pisses me off, too, is like someone like that says something critical of the Conservative Party. They're a pariah right up until they die, and then they're a hero. Mm-hmm. Like, it bothers the shit out of me.
It bothers the shit out of me in all different directions. And you can argue, like, yes, the Conservatives have such a morally reprehensible... The irony is, like, they're the party of family values and morals, right? That's how they pitch themselves.
Yeah, but they haven't been for a long time.
Yeah. They're just scumbags.
Everybody wants to say that argument, but like I always sit there and try to argue like, what makes you the party of morality? Why? What has happened that you claim that? And a lot of times they sit there and they go, conservatives don't want to murder babies in the womb.
Yeah, but we want prisoners to die.
Yeah.
We want them to live just long enough to make money off of them being in our private prisons, and then we need them to die.
The point being is that it like the criticism always becomes a deflection. It always becomes about the godless things that the atheist liberal socialists are doing. And you sit there and go, okay, but can we talk about the socialist programs that the United States already has? No, we can't. Okay, we just got to talk about the things that you don't like.
Can we talk about how most of the things that we are trying to institute, like a $15 an hour minimum wage...
But Nancy Pelosi...
But these things are seen as, like, middle of the fucking road in the Scandinavian countries.
Oh,
these aren't even progressive socialist issues
these are
in the world.
Moderate ideologies everywhere else. Now when you're a progressive, you are a communist, even though that for many other countries is standard liberalism.
Right.
Like they don't even look. They'd be like, yeah, you're just like a moderate liberal. You're a moderate. Like you're not out there fully like arguing about the abolishment of currency, so you're good.
Yeah.
And you get here, and they're like, hey, I just want to point out that the military is a socialist program. Queer, and they just fucking
Jesus
they
Christ.
just come at you. It's wild. And again, dude, I don't have to like Nancy Pelosi in order to be a progressive in my political views. But it's so funny the number of people who, when you're like, yeah, I really don't agree with what Ted Cruz did during what happened during the power outages in Texas. Well, Nancy Pelosi did this thing, and I don't notice you saying anything about it. Yeah, because I was commenting on an article about Ted Cruz and what he did. Why are we talking about, yeah, you don't say anything about the liberal, sleepy Joe Biden? I'm like, I don't like Joe Biden either.
When they fuck up, you'll hear from me.
Yeah. I said, they'd be like, you seem to think that because I criticize conservatism that I like the moderate neoliberal policies being passed. I don't, because they're too close to conservatism.
It sucks. It's almost as if there's just a political ruling class
that
is all kind of the same head, different heads of the same dragon.
Yeah. And it's so weird, though, because anytime something gets talked about that might possibly curtail this rich ruling class, the one side that steps up to defend it is the Conservative Party. So why is it that why is the downtrodden poor people getting stepped on by the dirty, awful liberals and not the guys who are fighting against putting up well taxes? Like, why is it that you're for freedom, but when you look at conservatives past the election, they've passed like 600 laws in this country to suppress voting in the next election? I don't understand. Am I taking crazy pills?
Well, that's a great time for us to roll to our new sponsor, Blue Chew. Blue Chew, the dick pill that gives you a raging throbber for 6 hours.
It's not working. I think I'm too stressed.
Rory is losing a lot of blood flow to his brain.
I don't know what's happening. Other parts of my body are turning blue.
I know. Sorry, you guys. We just keep black pilling you.
It's Blue Chew. It's my insides.
I support this product as you're just ejaculating blood. Just chunky blood.
If your blood turns to black, like a black kind of thick bile from eating Blue Chew, eat a couple more and make sure. It might not be Blue Chew doing it. If you're a woman, take Blue Chew anyways.
It may terminate your pregnancy.
Get that bean hard, Blue Chew. They're going to go, is that a penis? Blue Chew. That's what everybody would want. That's what all women want.
Yeah, good stiff clit.
That is mistaken for a stunted penis.
Pardon me, madam. I don't mean to be too forward.
But I noticed you have a stiffy.
Is your clit stimulated right now?
Thanks, Blue Chew.
Oh, thank you for noticing.
It's like the new Grey Poupon commercial. Excuse me, madam, as they roll down their window. I couldn't help but notice that your clitoris was hard. She's like, stop looking at my pants, pervert.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help but notice you rode in here on a wave of pussy mucus.
Gross.
Like a snail queen.
Excuse me, madam, I couldn't help but notice, but it seems that you have Niagara Falls in your pantaloons and you're wearing a sheer skirt.
You appear to have ruined your socks.
Oh.
Yeah.
Gross.
Well, if you want to talk about something less gross, do you know what I saw on YouTube, one of the pre-roll ads the other day?
Oh, God. What?
It's this little kid sitting there on the shitter. Yeah.
One of the little toy potties?
It's
a big boy potty.
Child sitting on a big boy shitter.
Uh-huh.
And his whole pitch was like, yeah, we grow up our whole lives and everybody tells you to wipe after you poop. And I just stopped and was like, wait a minute.
You're telling me there's a better way?
Where is this going? Hit the juice loosener. I'm just like, where the fuck is this going? Are you about to tell me you need to wipe before you shit? And this led me down a rabbit hole, and I'm like, suddenly Googling proper way to wipe your ass.
It appears that my anus has calcified, and I must open the passageway up again.
This is a bit of a problem.
This is why I haven't pooped in 14 days.
But it's just, it speaks to like nothing makes sense anymore. For a long time, it's like butter will kill you. Don't eat the egg yolks. It's bad fat. And now it's like, well, actually, you need that so that, your body can regulate hormone production. And like,
I'm still thinking about it. Margaret, could you get in here? My anus appears to have shut like a steel trap.
This is going to be a four-hander.
I'm going to need some help.
You're going to have to pry, and I'm going to have to spread the cheeks.
You're going to spread the cheeks, and I'm going to mow the lawn, so to speak.
Throw the vacuum in reverse, and I'll put my mouth around it, and hopefully the force will send the turd rocketing out of my
I'm wondering
anus.
what that even means. It's like, am I supposed to expect that it's shut off, or like there's a thicket of hair that's keeping my poos from getting to where they need to be? Their home, which is the toilet.
Listen, sometimes it's like cleaning peanut butter out of a shag carpet.
Listen, everybody has those not so fresh days.
Are you a woman with a lot of hair on the inside of your asshole?
Yeah, on the inside. Every poo tickles.
Here's a product for you. But like, I don't know, man. I just think about it more and more and more, and I'm like, where my country gone? Nothing makes sense anymore. I don't recognize this world.
No.
Like, remember a time when you could make the OK symbol? I'm making it to you right now.
Yeah, apparently that's a white supremacist thing now.
It is now because somebody fucking, as a joke, was like, oh, the pizza pie symbol. Because look, I'm Italian. You're Italian.
Yeah, I kind of do that a lot to people. I'm like, okay. And
yeah.
I kind of walk off. If they've tucked me as being like, I'm secretly a racist, I'd feel really bad.
But that's the thing is you and I both are paisans.
Yeah.
And we do exactly what you just did. The click and the fucking symbol. Been doing it forever.
Longer than I can remember.
And now because some jerk off on Aitken decided to spread a rumor that was a hate signal, it became one.
Yeah.
White supremacists started using it. And now
gross.
We can't.
Yeah.
A gesture we've been using our whole lives got appropriated by dickheads.
Well, I got to tell you, man, it's not going to stop overnight for
Is this how Hispanic women feel when white women wear hoop earrings?
Yes. Well, exactly. And floral dresses.
I got to
which are
tell
also
you,
theirs by
it's
culture.
pretty thrilling to be a victim for once, Rory. I got to tell you.
Finally.
Oh, man.
Finally.
The day of the white man has come.
Ha-ha. So spring into action. I'm taking it back.
It's that's
the world we live in. That's the world
fucking
we live in now.
insane.
Well, I get tired of it too, man, and especially because everything's starting to make me feel like a product. You know, you can't. Everything that's free makes you into a product. I can't go on Reddit now without feeling like I'm being like my posts are being analyzed for potential market value.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's happening in like Wall Street bets. Like they've already talked about that. How Wall Street is now going onto Reddit to go into these sites because they are making predictions that are setting up forecasting for the market. And so if you're a good, financial advisor, you're going to know about that. So there are people sitting there combing over like Wall Street bets, which is like really immature posts of people saying ridiculous shit that every now and then is right and a lot of times is wrong, but that you can make financial decisions off of now. And you sit there and go, where else is it happening? Because it's definitely happening other places. You go on YouTube and again, there's the potty thing. You're sitting there going, why did they show that to me? How am I the potential demographic for this? Because somebody out there on the other end was sitting behind a computer with a bunch of money in their account, sitting there going, what demographics do I want my poo commercial to reach?
They're like, well, this guy only watches Cumtown and Red Letter Media.
Yeah, dude.
So he definitely doesn't know how to wipe his own ass.
But based on certain algorithms and based on certain settings that someone set up, they sat there and went, okay, the people who fit this criteria based on what YouTube dictates them to be in, will send them these ads. And it's targeted right to you.
You know who else? Speaking of our friends, the conservatives, they spend so much money advertising on YouTube.
Of money.
It is absurd. Ben
and
Shapiro's
Facebook.
sister, who not bad looking, so I'm not complaining too much, but she's on there. Like every other ad is from Abby Shapiro.
Mm-hmm. Because they're crazy, dude.
Yeah.
And they're making a lot of money. Think about the kind of money that those people have to be generating in order for them to be spending that money back on ads. And I can tell you, man, having worked at like a marketing company, or the intermediary that handled the transactions, it is hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
That these people are spending.
And then of course they rely on the number one person to fuel the conservative movement in this country, the simp.
Oh, sure.
So she undoes the top button on an X small fucking sweater.
Oh, sure.
And is like, let's talk about policy while she's jumping on a trampoline.
But the thing you really got to think about that I think cannot be like brushed aside is these people aren't offering you a product. Think about that. Mm-hmm. They're not sitting there being like, buy this bike or check out this new TV or get a microwave.
This bike that will get you to work, this television that you can watch when you get home from work, things that provide value over time.
And does most people notice that like that's most of commercials now? You're going to see commercials for like makeup, and you might see commercials for some other things, but mostly it's insurance. It's for going certain places on the internet, and it's for services. Mm-hmm. That's it. It's not products like it used to be anymore.
It's a lot of medicine.
It's State Farm.
Yep.
It's things that are generating billions of dollars in revenue, and so they can spend $100 million on advertising. It's crazy.
But do you remember when advertisements used to be dope? Like there was the Sprite commercial in the 90s.
Those Bratz models commercials
where fucking Sting showed up and just like put the little kid through the table.
The little dolls have so much attitude. They have so much attitude. I can buy them on posters and the little toys that I absolutely are a choking hazard.
But they were like little water babies. They had huge heads.
I know. It was really weird looking.
They were like hydrocephalus.
A lot of a detail into the face. And is it? I don't know. Nowadays, that's the kind of thing where like if they Bratz dolls came out this year, they'd be like, these people are supporting anorexia because look at these fucking things, big ass heads and tiny bodies. Like that shit. That's an anorexic. That doll's an anorexic.
You just press a button, baby, pretty now, mama.
Yeah, just where
cool.
Yeah.
I want to play with I want to be just like my Bratz doll.
I had shredded wheat for dinner. Like, oh, okay. That's. Oh no, I gotta make it up the stairs. Just they all sound breathy and very out of.
They all sound like Michael Jackson. Come on.
I would buy that Bratz doll though.
Honestly, yeah. On. If they had a sense of humor about
it. Why?
Just reminds me of South Park. Stupid spoiled whore. Video playset.
Yeah, that dude. That's the world we're living in, though.
Yeah,
it's really weird. We've gotten to the place where people will buy a shirt by Kanye West that's $1,000,
Dude.
and it's like a ripped white T-shirt.
I don't want to shit on my cousin or the way she's raising her children. but remember, everything before but is bullshit.
Yep.
But I mean, she's got, I think this is what a good cousin I am. It's like an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old. And they do like family dance party, and they'll play music because the girls take dance class.
Sure, that's fine.
They love to dance. We love to dance.
I'm okay with that so far.
Until both of them, and like, why my mom shows me this.
They started twerking.
They were twerking in their underwear. It was some Nicki Minaj song that's like, spread my pussy lips and stick your tongue up inside. I want you to dig out some
cheese.
There's a baby inside of me. Suck it out with the force from your lungs. Like,
yeah, I know, I get you. And you go, perhaps 8 is too young for that to be listened to.
They're twerking shirtless in their underwear.
I remember when I was younger and my parents wouldn't let me play Mortal Kombat because it was too violent.
There were spine rips in it.
Yeah, but do you go back and you look at Super Nintendo Mortal Kombat, and it's basically 2 ugly blocks swinging into one another with red goop coming out the side. You sit there and go, this isn't like, look at when you play Mortal Kombat now and you hit the right buttons, you can watch an x-ray of the dude's ribs breaking against his heart muscle.
Yeah.
And you go back then and you go, this was too violent for my parents. And now we've got people listening to Cardi B and Nicki Minaj, kids are twerking, and I sit there and go, look, you can raise your kids how you want.
Sure.
Okay? Like, I just know, like, I'm not showing my kids that when they're 8 years old. I'm not going to desensitize my kids that fucking fast.
That young. I mean, it's Nicki or Doja Cat. Play with my pussy, but don't play with my emotions. If you spend some money, then maybe I just might fuck you.
Yeah. I'd be like, that's not a great lesson to teach. Like, again, context there.
Like, they shouldn't be dancing to that. What happened to Baby Shark?
What happened to Spice Girls?
Spice up your life.
I remember when If You Want to Be My Lover was controversial.
Dude, that was another thing.
Wet ass pussies everywhere. They're all over the place, and no one will let me touch them.
Is that about giving your cat a bath? Well, you're giving a certain kind of cat a certain kind of bath.
Ooh, we'll talk about this when you're older. I think 9 is probably a good time to start having those conversations. I remember when we were in school, it was like, what, 12? You finally got the sex talk, 12 or 13, when the school does it for you, like 6th grade. I think it's 11, 12, 13, somewhere in there.
Well, keep in mind, I went to Catholic school.
So the priest
could not write masturbation on the board without his hand shaking.
That's true. Okay. So public school. I was degenerates in public school. I think it was like 12 or 13. And I remember coming out of that being like wildly confused. I'm like, that was the one where they're like, abstinence is one thing and condoms do another thing. Here's a birth. You guys good? Okay. And you're sitting there being like, what the fuck was that? That woman's vagina was what? Where's all the water coming from? She's dying. She's dying. And like 12-year-old can't process that. You know what I mean? Puts you off sex for another couple of years, except for the other kid. Nowadays, I've got a feeling like you walk into that like, yeah, dude. I watched that like years ago. Like 10-year-olds are watching the Pain Olympics. Remember those? Like the dude cuts off his testicle on.
He shoves like a battery up his dick hole.
Yeah, like all kinds of fucked up shit. I'm like, they're watching. What's the age they're watching that at now? You know, or like 13-year-olds super desensitized. It's got to, dude, the trend's got to be bad. Because I remember when I was like 14, I was like 8th grade, and you had like those after school programs that ran sometimes. Like, you can learn how to do clay sculpting or some stupid fucking thing. Like, we're playing Ultimate Frisbee.
Yeah.
And you would have to go home sometimes on like the little kids bus, like 4 o'clock. They'd have like that last bus that runs, and it's like a bunch of first graders and stuff. And I was on one of those buses, and I was like 14 at the time. And these kids are like 7 or 8, and they're talking about like at the beginning of the day they had one boyfriend, and then at the end of the day they decided they were dating someone else. I'm like, you don't get what that is, you know, which is why it's going about that way. But also you're doing it. And like when I was in 1st grade, like that wasn't even a conversation we were having. Look how desensitized these 1st graders are by now. Like, are those 1st graders twerking now? Is like, that's how far we've gotten?
Yeah, apparently, dude, because that's what I saw my fucking cousin's kids do. Like, and again, like, she's a great mom. This is
Let your kids fucking be kids, though.
It's just, I think, unfortunately, it's like inescapable because
it's a cultural thing.
You can be a helicopter parent.
There was no twerking when we were kids.
That's very true.
I mean, there might have been.
The invention of the twerk. I actually think the best thing they could do is, instead of banning Dr. Seuss, just make like the Dr. Seuss estate come up with sex ed books.
Pop on Pop's nuts. Yertle the Turtle gets a bank loan. Just like a bunch of random. I don't even know which ones they banned.
Horton buys a prophylactic.
Yeah, exactly. Horton's afraid of a Mexican. You're just like, if that had gone a different way and he learned something. And it's a funny thing where everyone's like, well, this is cancel culture. I'm just like,
no, come on.
It's really fucking not.
It's legitimate racist caricatures.
Well,
he hated the Japanese.
Let's be honest. And here's the thing. And again, we talked about like the whole hypocrisy thing. And this is kind of half of it. I sit there and go, you're super fucking pissed off when the things that you care about get canceled or get censored. When the things that aren't about you, like conservatives, you can be mad, and if there's legitimate conservatives listening, I'm not trying to be infantilizing about all this, but I'm going to give you a hard fucking lesson. This all goes back to a store in the Midwest that was asked to make a cake for a gay couple at a wedding. And they refused, and the gay couple rightly was offended and tried to make a court case out of it. And the court stood up and said, that business is exercising its freedom of expression to refuse service, and also as a private business, it has the right to refuse service to that gay couple for not wanting to make that cake. And everybody was rightfully pissed off about it, because what a stupid hill to die on, right? But as a private business, and given the letter of the law and the Constitution, we knew it was within their rights, as repugnant as some of us may found it. What that showed was that there was the freedom of the market. If you didn't like that, stop supporting those fucking people. Go buy your cake from the LGBTQ-friendly shop around the corner and live your life. Cut to today, when Twitter, a private business, decides to say, Donald Trump, you've been spreading a lot of dangerous rhetoric and patently, verifiably false lies on Twitter, and we're going to ban you from it. And all of a sudden, cancel culture and freedom of speech are under attack. Now, I want to know why it is that now all of a sudden, freedom of speech is a problem when it's affecting people that you want to hear about. He can go off and start his own freedom platform with blackjack and hookers if he really wanted to. But Donald Trump, unfortunately, is a populist bigot who only wants to speak to the rhetoric that you guys will eat up with a fucking spoon. And he doesn't have the wherewithal, the intelligence, or the real effort to go out and do that for you guys because he doesn't care about you. So you need to fucking understand that. You need to recognize what freedom of speech really is. And it is not private companies deciding privately what they can do. Because that's what this whole issue is. Oh, no, the cancel culture is coming for the conservatives again. Well, maybe you shouldn't run into the store without a mask on, screaming in people's faces about your rights, because you don't know what they are. Period.
And I've come around on this idea of cancel culture, the concepts of cancel culture, wokeness, and social justice warriors.
Sure.
I don't think SJW or woke should be used as an insult or to denote something that you think goes too far. I think what encompasses that, right or left, is a scold. Someone who thinks they know better and actually you. And biggest offenders of it, in my eyes, are conservatives and white liberal women.
Oh, yeah.
But, it's cancel culture, I've come around on it, and I'm like, I don't think it's a thing. I think there are people...
It's consequences.
There are people that go too far in being like, well, let's just, ban all comedy clubs because one comedian said something I didn't like.
Sure. Yeah.
That's throwing the baby out with the bathwater. That's no good. That's not the fucking move.
Yeah.
But it's not cancel culture when Louis C.K. makes fucking jokes about the Parkland kids and people get mad and are like, let's threaten to boycott these venues if they keep booking him. It's
sure.
It is your right to organize a boycott.
That's a financial decision at that point. That's all it is. It's not freedom of speech because the government's not coming into this. They're not going to Louis C.K. and sitting there going, you can't make a stupid joke about Parkland.
Yeah, we're going to send Louis C.K. to the gulags.
Yeah. If they were to step in and go, well, he was being critical of the government and now we're going to go ahead and come after him, that would be a freedom of speech issue. The government stepping in and telling Twitter that they have to let Donald Trump say what he wants to say is a freedom of speech issue because they are coming in and forcing them on policy. That's a freedom of speech issue. It is decidedly the exact opposite of what conservatives are arguing about in this horrible sense of irony. You sit there and they look and go, how dare you call all conservatives Nazis as you cancel culture people, you leftist liberal socialist? Well, why is it okay for you to call me that, but I can't call you the thing that is linked back to you doing? Like, again, I don't like if all conservatives aren't Nazis, then all liberals aren't socialists. You get they don't understand that though. Some of them, I don't get the thing. Like, again, I was arguing with a guy on Twitter on my political podcasts feed the other day, and his actual profile said that personal attacks will get you blocked. And then you go through every argument, and every single one of them is his projection of the argument on other people. Mm-hmm. Well, how about you stop sucking Nancy Pelosi's dick, you liberal cuck socialist? All of you liberals want to burn the country to the ground. And you sit there and go, do you not see the hypocrisy of what you're doing, sir? And then you get called a liberal cuck and some other not-so-choice words.
But that's extremism on either side. And this is
idiocy.
This is not me playing Mr. Fence Sitter or there are fine people on both sides.
Choose a side,
but
pick up your guns.
That's extremism. Anytime you take an extreme position, it is by nature indefensible because of how extreme it is. There is no room for nuance.
Well, it's a psychological projection in the first end, because you'll find that whenever you criticize certain people about things that they hold near and dear to their heart, and they don't have an answer for why the thing that they represent or that they believe in or that they support is abhorrent, the main thing for you to do in that stance is to deflect, to try to argue hypocrisy on the side of your opposition. I see it every single day, and it's a very strong tactic, and it's a very, very strong tactic in politics, because you can sit there and go, well, Madam Speaker, I noticed that you were very vocal about this thing, but why weren't you vocal about this thing 3 months ago when your side was doing it? And now you can sit there and argue a lack of character or a lack of credibility because of that, when all you're doing is taking attention off of the thing being discussed at hand. It's not about the fact that Donald Trump drowned 6 puppies in his bathtub in Mar-a-Lago. It's about the fact that 3 months ago, this one random Republican in Colorado kicked a puppy into the street and no one talked about it. Here's the secret. Both of those things are fucking terrible. And chances are, if you poll the person who's criticizing you for defending Ted Cruz for kicking his kids to the curb and blaming them over what happened for him going to Cancun, they're also going to be pissed off about this thing that this other guy did in this other state. You're just not willing to answer the question because it's easier to argue in bad faith and project an ideology onto your opposition than it is to understand that you are an asshole for supporting Ted Cruz.
Dude, the Ted Cruz thing is so awesome, the way he threw his kids under the bus like that.
Holy fuck, dude.
I've been through that. My dad does that to me all the fucking time. When we were little kids, he used to constantly.
And then he went to CPAC.
Throw us under the bus.
Say what you want about AOC. Okay, you don't like her policy. You think she's too extreme. She raised $4 million for Texans during this time. Ted Cruz didn't raise any money.
Yeah, but she did that as a political stunt, Rory.
Yeah, great. I don't care if it's a political stunt as long as what they're doing is good.
Right.
That's all it is. It comes down to be great. Was it a political stunt for Ted Cruz to leave to go to Cancun then? Because of the two of them, I know which one was probably better.
What was he raising awareness for? I'm curious.
Tan lines?
Yeah.
For cornrows?
Can you imagine?
I don't. The thing is, I pointed there and I sit there and go, days later, he basically came back to his state, dropped his shit off, and then turned around and went to CPAC, where he then insulted her on stage.
Yeah, because he's a piece of shit.
Because he has no fucking shame.
People in his own part, I think Lindsey Graham, also a guy that I fucking hate.
Abhorrent asshole.
He said something along the lines of we could stab Ted Cruz on the floor like Caesar and nobody would do anything about it.
No one would give a shit. Everyone would move the fuck on with their day. And there's a lot of people like that.
And my dad, he goes, the best thing that could happen is Donald Trump appointing Ted Cruz to the Supreme Court. My God, the mind that man has for the law. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ.
I'd be there was just last week, his old professor from Harvard in a statement came out and was like, I am embarrassed. I'm absolutely embarrassed. It was him and another representative whose name I can't remember. Both of them were students of this professor at Harvard. And he came out and was like, Ted Cruz knows better. I taught him. Yeah. I know what he knows. And he was a very intelligent, often conservative arguing person in college. And he knew what he was doing. He knew precedent. He knew law. And he would specifically argue disingenuously because he wanted to win.
It doesn't
have to do with what's right. It has to do with winning.
And that's the problem, because I don't want to take an all or nothing position and be like, I can't be friends with a conservative.
No, I'm friends with plenty of conservatives.
I won't do it. Because here's the thing. My uncle was a state legislator for years and years and years, and well respected on both sides of the aisle because he wasn't an insane person. He would try to articulate conservative politics but none of it was made emotionally.
Sure.
And as a result of this, and as a result of him being pro-medical marijuana and pro-mental, he was a mental health advocate to the point where people in Brattleboro raised money for him under a PAC called Democrats for Koch. So, I mean...
Democrats for cock.
For cucks.
How homophobic of me. Go on.
But he is a conservative that I can have a conversation with and I can respect and I can understand his positions even if I don't agree with them.
Yes.
And
I got a couple family members like that.
That is a possibility until you get to these people making these emotional arguments being like, well,
yeah.
I mean, you got to understand, first thing about AOC is I'd like to see her birth certificate and see what her qualifications are. I think she was fucking born in goddamn Honduras or something. She should be selling mangoes by the freeway.
And you sit there and go, what does that have to do with her policies? Like, what does that have to do with anything? It doesn't have to do with anything.
There's no numbers.
Like, you know what's funny is they did a thing. They figured, I don't know how they figured it out, but they're like, it's really strange the way the people who are mostly searching things about her breasts are conservatives.
Right?
Yeah. You're like, it's really weird that they hate AOC so much because a lot of them really seem to want to fuck her.
My 400-pound slob truck driver cousin posted a meme of her laughing and her teeth are like, she's like showing all her teeth. She's
people like to Photoshop her a lot.
They do, and this seemed it because she looked real horsey. It was a real donkey face.
Yeah.
But he's just like, yeah, what an ugly bitch. And I'm like, motherfucker, you have not seen your own cock long enough that you could declare it legally dead, and we would have to take that seriously.
I'd be like, I know of most people in politics. Like, I'd have a problem if they came up to me. I'd be like, you're very attractive, but I hate your policy. Like, if AOC comes, I'd be like, I need to see if you want to go out on a date. You're very attractive.
Yeah.
Please
she dates guys like us, too.
Oh, boy.
Her boyfriend kind of looks like us. Yeah, white, pasty losers, dude.
Hooray. I'm going to move to D.C.
Huzzah!
I don't know. Would it be more successful to move to her district in New York to stalk her or to move to D.C. to stalk her? I can't really decide. Oh, help me at home, everyone. Am I being serious?
D.C. It's going to be fun. We're going to be the toast of the town. We should, dude. We're both looking for a place to move. Maybe that's the answer.
Just get into politics?
We should just move to D.C.
Yeah.
And become horrible gadflies.
I represent the horse party. Just come up with random things.
Senator Clip-Clop, what do you say to the allegations that you've inseminated 9 fillies?
That's a no. That means
you didn't answer my question.
3 stomps is a no. No more questions. No more questions. Senator Clydesdale.
Huh. What do gay horses eat?
Yeah. What are the accusations that you had an underage prostitute in your hotel? Because let's be honest, there's still doesn't matter if you're a horse, you're politicians, you're getting dirty. It's funny, man. I'm getting tired of the political shit that's going on in this country.
Yet we just did an entire politics episode. I'm not just saying
because it's hilarious.
Yeah,
I'm talking about like from a real level. Like again, it drives me nuts. Just because you watch these people again, it's really not hard if you're looking at high level politics. And you see the discussions that people are having to see the bullshit in it. I get really frustrated when you see the people on the ground who swallow some of that nonsense like it's gospel.
Well, taking up for the overlords is an insane position.
But dude, it pisses me off in the sense that when people come and try and talk to you, like you sit there and you go, I just heard about this thing that happened in D.C. with this thing. It doesn't matter what it is. And you go, I just spent the past 2 weeks of my life really getting a really good handle on it and what happened and the details. Like at 10 p.m., this person came across and blah, blah, blah. And like they hinted documents. Blah. You got a very intelligent idea of what happened. And then you get somebody who comes along and goes, yeah, well, actually, that's just these people trying to tell you what happened. And really, the hero is the conservatives because they're trying to stop the liberal agenda. And you can sit there and go, well, actually, what happened was conservatives did this and it was they broke the law. Nope, it was the liberals. The liberals did it, and you don't understand because you're a sheep.
Who are you going to listen to? Kamala Harris or the guy that painted his body and took an upper decker in Nancy Pelosi's private crapper?
And you can sit there and be like, okay, well, I got my evidence from these 3 news sources, and all of them link back to this report that is verified and corroborated. They can go, yeah, it's not true because, look, they're from CNN and MSNBC, and those are the cuck media.
Well, who's running the verifying body? Who watches the Watchmen?
Well, and you sit there and you go, okay, well, what's your evidence? And they sit there and go, well, I'm a part of some pretty well thought out forums online where the real truth is being discussed. Like, okay, so you don't have a corroborating source. And they never do. And it bugs the shit out of me because you've got so much conservative rhetoric where they sit there and they go, the liberals are losers, and look at these leftist socialists. And the people they're pointing at are neoliberals. Yeah. They're moderate neoliberals.
Yeah, they're Hillary Clinton voters.
Yeah, and you look at it and you go, well, you bring up AOC, but then you bring up like neoliberal policies. I don't think you know what she's talking about.
No.
Like, because standard liberals look at people like AOC and they think that they're radicals. Like, you don't understand how dissected the Liberal Party really is right now between progressive liberals and conservative, more moderate neoliberal policies.
Right.
They're very, very different things. And you guys argue and you point at more conservative policy and you talk about it being leftist socialism. And I just wish, like, if you were going to insult me, you would insult me the right way. It just pisses me off. Don't look at me and talk about how much I love Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden, because, like, it's such an ignorant projection. Like, at least when I tell you that you need to stop sucking Trump's dick, I know that it's true. Like, I'm not going to point out that you're a Trump supporter if you're not clearly supporting Trump. Right. I'm going to call you a traditional conservative. I might call you a Reagan conservative or this or that. And then we can kind of harp in on what you really hate from there. But I get so sick of it. I'm just
TLDR, if you're going to be a cretin, take some pride in it.
Yeah, do it right. Like, just be the right kind of troll, please.
It's not that hard. This is what this whole podcast is about.
Yeah, like, if you're going to be stupid, just be the right kind of stupid.
Yeah.
Something I can work with.
Well, we're butting up against it. I'm
tired. I'm tired and cranky now.
I'm tired. Yeah, I don't know. I hope next week we can get back to the funny.
There'll be something funny. I wanted to talk. I was going to do a whole bit this week about how I thought it was great that the new Space Jam reboot they're doing, they're not sexualizing Lola Bunny. It's like, I think that's great. But now it's like we ran out of time because I was talking about Ted Cruz.
Well, and I wanted to talk about, like, the non-gender binary Potato Head. I guess you can't call it Mr. anymore.
Well, no, it's going to be Mr. or Mrs. Potato Head. It's going to be Potato Head, and they're going to come with Mr. and Mrs. parts. And you can decide which way you want your androgynous potato to be. People are so mad about that, too. I'm like, no, this is a great business plan. It works for them and it works for us. We're going to buy more potatoes, and you don't have to buy Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head. We save money. They make money. Everybody's happy. Everyone get off Hasbro's ass.
Look, everybody knows that you use the giant rubber feet as a butt plug.
Yeah.
And you make sex to somebody.
Half of those things are going up both adults and confused children's asses.
Just accept it. Accept that that's what it is. The potato is a carrying case for sex toys. Yeah. This isn't hard, people.
You open up the potato and all of his other body parts go inside of him. Why are we comparing this to normal people?
We need to know what his gender is.
Which one of you has your pants stored inside of you?
But potatoes have two genders.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Boys and girls.
What about all the people who put the lady parts on the boy parts and you got both potato heads and you mix and match them?
What about putting the eyes in the armhole and the arm is a little dick?
Yeah, we got to stop that because it's confusing this generation's kid. I'm so confused. Where are the feet supposed to go? And that kid grows up with body dysmorphia and ends up being one of those kids like, I just need to have my right leg amputated because the potato told me so.
Yeah. My arm doesn't go here. Yeah. It should be coming out of the top of my head.
I need my eyes removed and one of my leg sockets to be coming out of the hole.
I need someone to put my feet up my ass.
The potato told me to.
Please install an ass flap that I can carry my iPad in.
Didn't the ass flap used to open and that's how you stored things?
Yeah, you stored all the shit inside the potato's ass.
Yeah.
And we're arguing about whether it's a boy or a girl.
And again, they stopped sexualizing Lola Bunny in Looney Tunes. So
which is probably pretty good because of that I was not allowed to have rodents for pets as a child.
That crop-topped bunny that was sexualized by all of the other Looney Tunes.
Right. Daffy's just beating off in the locker room. Oh, Jesus.
Well, that was the thing. Is like nobody took Lola Bunny seriously. Bugs comes in. We don't even know if he was going to put up a good defense against her because he didn't even try. She trounced him. Yeah. And then she's up against the Monstars who are putting up an actual defensive attack.
Yeah, real handsy physical defense.
She held her own. Good for them because she was talented. But we were never going to know that based on the over-sexualization of the Toon Squad. Very happy that they've gotten past that.
Well, the bigger issue is you're letting a woman compete on a men's team. I mean, what's next?
What's next? A potato? We're going to get a potato out there?
We're going to have a genderless potato fighting in MMA? I don't think so.
New Looney Tunes getting themselves in hot water as Mrs. Potato Head switched her genders mid-game so she could have more vertical leap during this.
She shed her testicles so they wouldn't be a liability.
That one really got
trying to posterize.
Got a lot of picketing from the Dworkinists out there.
Jesus.
They really came out. Apparently, all Potato Head sex is penetrative and therefore rape.
Yeah. Was that Andrea Dworkin or was that Valerie Solanas?
Valerie Solanas was the one who wrote the Scum Manifesto and shot Andy Warhol.
Yes.
Andrea Dworkin was the one who came out in the 90s as, I believe, a later follower of the early Scum Manifesto and Valley Soil, which people argue, like feminists now argue that the Scum Manifesto was written mostly as jest and satire.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I buy that.
I don't think it was.
I really don't think I buy that. I think that's a very strong defense in terms of what is more radicalized third wave feminist movement, which is again sort of a thing that I wanted to talk about since we're kind of getting into it in reference to woke culture, in the sense that I think Republicans are going about this the wrong way, because oftentimes when you have radicalized feminist movements or not, I don't really want to call it feminist movement, but sort of overcorrecting egalitarianism, it ends up usually being the cat that eats its own tail. It really does. It becomes that sort of thing where the circle ends up sort of dissecting itself into smaller, more radicalized sections that end up sort of infighting with one another about where the buck stops, so to speak.
Well, it's like having turfs.
Yeah,
and,
what is truly woke? What is the true policy on identity politics and recognition of culturalism and appropriation and adoption and those sort of things? Where are the lines on that? And through those dialogues, you find that more radicalized ideologies that become more rigid in their views don't have any sort of flexibility in the discussion, so that those people, because of their rigidity, end up falling into camps rather than changing their ideologies to become more nebulous to meet a sort of group standard. You know what I'm saying? So wokeness in the next 5 years may not even be necessarily what we're talking about, because so many people find themselves in those rigid camps and lose a lot of the legitimacy of the overall group, and therefore lose their sort of buying power in the marketplace. To get back into my financial thing, there's 30 people versus 300, and now when they sit there and say, cancel Louis C.K., no one gives a shit, because it's not hundreds of people, it's just 30 people.
Yeah. I mostly just hung up on the fact that you said the cat eating its own tail. I've never heard that before in my life.
Maybe snake eating its own tail?
It's the snake. It's Ouroboros.
Ouroboros, yeah, fuck you.
Uncultured fuck.
I don't know why I said cat. I was thinking...
No one can take anything you just said seriously.
It's because somewhere secretly I was being racist against the Chinese who eat cats. Shit. Yeah, so there. Yeah, see, look, we tied it all up.
Oh, it's always good to end the episode on racism.
Great.
Even if just for an hour.
I like you've got Ouroboros in there, too, because we were talking about cryptocurrency, and Ouroboros is the name for the network that Cardano runs on.
Oh.
Yeah, Ouroboros.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
So there's the episode of Skimbo.
All right. We did it, gang. We brought crypto back into it, too.
Fuck you.
You got anything you want to plug?
I do not this week.
Interesting. Wow.
What a shock.
Shaking things up on this woke pod that we did.
Check me out on ButtTube.
Oh, I hope we're funnier next week. I gotta stop being sober.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna fucking stick my head under a spigot of vodka and go bananas.
Well, yeah, you got to let me kind of ease into it too, I guess, because I just sit here and talk about depressing things.
Let Alex be Alex. Yeah. That's my policy.
I'll try to talk about fun things next week instead of how we're all doomed and how the world is getting slowly drifting apart from one another.
We're just kind of exercising some demons. It's fine.
It's fine. I think we're just getting it. It's a tough beginning of the year. Everyone's trying to feel out this year. I've got too much time on my hands as I look for a job in a marketplace that is continually losing people. Like last week was like 700,000 more people in unemployment, as my dad comes up to me like, "Did you find a job yet, son?" And I'm like, "Ha ha ha ha."
You'd always work in the salt mines, like you're Gampy. Oh man, that's a whole great lost bit to wrap up the episode. Remember that episode we did where we talked about like Grandpa worked in the salt mines and he would sneeze up salt, but he could also cum mustard, so you could have like pretzels and hot dogs.
We've gone far from there as we talk about policy.
It's very true.
Let's go back to cum and mustard stories. That'll be next week.
Yeah, next week we'll talk about Grandpa ejaculating Dijon.
No promises. It all depends on how we feel. This week we were particularly pissed off for random reasons, and I think that just kind of sometimes it just kind of filters itself over into the pod.
Yeah, hey, sometimes you guys get what you get.
Yeah, we're taking it out on you. At least we didn't call you guys dumb and stupid. You fucking idiots.
You fucking pricks. I don't see you guys making a podcast.
Make your podcast. We'll shit all over it. I really like the way Becky gave us a great recipe for butt cake. I tried it. I hated it, you stupid bitch.
Oh my God, it's so difficult. I just can't even fucking fuck you.
Yeah. If only if this had been angel food cake, you'd have gotten 5 stars from me.
Just buy a box of funfetti like a normal person. That's all we're asking. Yeah. Don't you do less.
From scratch? Fuck you.
Take an example from us. We put no effort into this. Yeah. Okay, well,
all right.
At any rate, until next time, thank you and go fuck yourselves. And, of course, go fuck yourselves again and goodbye.